Hey, what's going on? Strat Soldier here. I got something good for you. If you like trading options, you like trading futures, you like doing that other stuff, even like commodities and stuff like that, I got something for you. SPX, trading SPX. I got Kae Trades on here. You might see her on Twitter as Love K. Awesome trader. And just like I said when I with John's interview, John Smith, I watched traders for a long time before I asked them to come on. All right. I always ask them excuse me, I always watch to see if they're really taking these trades or they really know what they're talking about. And Kay's definitely someone that I've been following for a long time. And not only is she's winning, she knows what she's doing, but it's also fun. And that's why I like following her because it's hilarious sometimes. We're just out there talking strat and having fun. So Kay, if you can hear me, go ahead and turn on your camera. Let's get this going.
See, hey, Mr. Strat Soldier, how are you? I'm here.
How are you doing? I know it's so awesome to on Twitter, it's all these avatars, we just see faces, you maybe might see some clips. You guys hear me more than I hear you. So it's so awesome to see your face and hear your voice. It's so cool.
Yes, yes, same. Honor to be here with you. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank
Oh my God.
thank you for being here. Thank you, appreciate it. And so we did talk a little bit before, and I might do well. Maybe we'll do it within the show, okay? But I just definitely want to talk about how the market has just been green, green on the month, green on the week, green on the days, green on these 60s, and people think it's just going to keep going. And today is Friday, October 10th, for the people out there, because you guys are going to see it later on. The market had a really big downturn, corrective activity, nice big reversal to the downside this morning. Did you catch any of that?
Yes, I actually did. I was in puts. I was in like three different positions. So I was
Wow.
definitely in puts. I couldn't wait. I've been anticipating this drop for too long. I definitely love more the downside than I do the upside. Especially trading all-time highs. It's like all I have is my broadening formations to kind of tell me how high we can go. Uh,
Hmm.
but I'm definitely excited to go over some extra little things aside from the strat that can kind of that I hope, viewers are able to take full advantage of that.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, yeah. And that's awesome. You use other things along with the strat. That's cool too. I like that. I have been learning other things just so I can communicate to people that do trade technical analysis, so we talk about bull flags and pennants and
Yeah.
there's a couple indicators that I've been putting on the charts just so I can just talk like here's the strat, but I know this is what you're looking at as well. So yeah, yeah, that's awesome that you do that, and I'm definitely excited to see that. Before we get into all that, what started you trading? And if it's a really long story, you could tell it. Of course, you could tell it.
No,
But if you
no,
just,
I'll keep it.
it just SPX or, wherever you want to start. I'm okay if you Quentin Tarantino movie where we start in the middle and then the end, and then we go to the end and then start into the ends of the beginning. I don't care. Go ahead and do it.
No, no, all good. I average, I mean, I don't know if you've heard, but like I started during the AMC times. It was like, okay, let's turn a little bit into a lot. It was like, hey, get into AMC. And I was like, is this for real? Like when I looked at my phone, I'm like, I just turned like $5 into 500 over. I just went to sleep. You
Nice.
know?
Yeah.
So, that's how I started. And then I was kind of desperate. I was like, okay, I want more. I was still working my 9 to 5. I work in healthcare. And I was like, I want to do this over and over. But little did I know I couldn't continue to do this over and over. I didn't know what that meant. So
Hmm.
at this point, I'm like writing my friends that were in trading. They were, I think, using EMAs or something like that. And I was like, hey, sis, like I will pay you half of my gains. Like I was one of those. Like I really, really wanted to just
Hmm.
trade and like learn, but I also was more interested in the gains instead of learning at the time.
Hmm.
But I had one of my friends that said, no, I would never do that. She's like, you need to learn. So I was like, okay, what do I have to do? She's like, well, here's a book. This is the EMAs. I'm like, well, I don't understand these squiggly lines. I'm like, what does this mean? If this goes here, what happens? So I was very overwhelmed, lost so much money, just kind of throwing in, money and just not knowing what the market was going to do. So that was around 2020.
Okay.
And I think like around 2022 or 2021, I started training with Alpha Pack. Uh,
Okay.
yeah, they were a big blueprint. They introduced me to the Strat. Big
Awesome.
blueprint in my trading career. And they bigged up Rob Smith a lot, which and then I was like, okay, I at the time I was too lazy. I was like, whatever, I got this. This 1, 2, 3, I got this. Like this
Yeah.
is cool.
Yeah.
But I noticed, I'm like, why would I get in with options and things will pull back? So I was just solely focusing on their call outs and not the learning aspect.
Mm-hmm.
It took
Mm-hmm.
me maybe like 3 years of not being consistently profitable to be like, hey, you have to figure this out. You have to figure this out.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and one of the things that my biggest thing that I've gotten away with, kind of taken from the, excuse me, and this is something that I start with when I talk to my students is that after looking up videos, after taking so many losses, and I looked up Rob Smith videos, the strat was meant I got the assumption, the conclusion that the strat was meant for swing trading stocks, not essentially options.
That's true. That's 100% true. Yeah.
And I
Yep.
would always say it. I was like, I mean, I don't know if he's ever said that, but I'm just getting the sense that it's just for stocks because
Mm-hmm.
it just makes sense. Like if you buy at a certain level, you hold, you don't have nothing going against you besides maybe news or catalyst, whatever's going on, but you can hold. You only lose until you sell,
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's
right?
true. Yes.
Um, so once I got that sense, and then once I also got the sense of like some people would complain like, oh, the strat would fake you out. And I'm like, I bet you saw green, you just didn't take profit.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Oh,
That's
this is
a
gonna be
big
good.
problem.
Don't get me, it's too early. Well, hold on. We only been like three
Too
minutes
early.
into this. You don't get me preaching.
That's right. I know that's right.
Go ahead. No, but that's true. It's so true. I'm so glad you're seeing it on the other side. Not to stop you, but
No,
I'm so glad someone else is seeing it because sometimes I get out here and I'll say stuff like today I talked about how we all have different time horizons. We all have different times that timelines we're trading on. I want to trade monthly, weekly time frames. I want to, there's my tank right there. There it is. There's my tank. I want to create a winning position and I want to sit there. A tank is big, it's slow. I want to create a winning position and just keep killing it till it's dead. Once they stop buying whatever it was, I was shooting at, let's say Tesla. Tesla was the one I took some profits on here very recently. Once they
yes.
start selling it, I'm out, and then get in my tank and drive off somewhere else. Like, then I'll create another winning position. I want to sit, and then so like weekly, monthly trades. But other people, they want to do daily. They want to, daily trades. They want to do, maybe 1 or 2 day swing trades. And then some people are crazy and they want to do 2 minute charts. That's fine. But
Right.
as long as you understand that going in, like you understand what you are drawn to, like maybe it is, maybe you need to, maybe you, after you learn it, then you can, creep into those 15-minute time frames, 5 minute time frames, those smaller ones. But you got to know what you're doing first. And I like that. Listening to what you're saying brings up a lot of that. And I think, not to, it just makes sense. I like that you're hearing it on the other side. And yes, the strat was made for trading stocks.
Yeah,
It does work on everything that trades.
of course.
It does work on everything that trades. You will see the three universal truths in anything, whether you're trading corn or futures, you'll see it everywhere. Even that weird crypto stuff. Uh, you'll see it all in there and it applies, but you also have to go, okay, I'm trading commodities and it moves different than equities, and SPX works different than futures. So you definitely got to learn that stuff too. And I love the fact that I love that you're starting from like, yeah, I was just throwing money at it, and you're like, I
Yeah.
had to learn. I love that. I love that you learn those lessons. That's fantastic.
Yeah, it was a tough lesson to learn, but I kind of figured out that that was just me as like a kid. I was always like, my mom would be like, don't touch it, don't touch it, you're gonna get burned. And I'm like, oh, touch
Yeah.
it. So I never grew out of that. So as an adult,
Yeah,
uh,
yeah, yeah.
still went through that even through my trading career. It was almost like, don't do it. Don't throw money in the market without knowing what you're doing,
Mm-hmm.
until I lost so much and I got
Mm-hmm.
tired of losing. And then, yeah, so fast forwarding to what was it, 2022, 2023, I kind of
Hmm.
gathered all this information with just the strat, right? I was like, okay, well, it was solely made for, not solely, but like, you're just more
Yeah.
profitable or whatever the case may be with stocks. But maybe the newer generation kind of remixed it and dibbled and dabbled into options, and we're a little bit more riskier in that sense. So this is why Alpha Pack would get time on the contracts. The same
Mm.
way you have endless time on stocks, although with options you do have an expiration date. I would notice they would get like 3 months out, 1 month out.
Hmm.
And it worked out because when it ran, and especially if you had time.
Yeah.
Um, so after that, I kind of did my own thing. I came across some money. I bought my house during COVID, and then I sold my home. So I was like, you know what? Let me take some of my profits, and now it's game time. I want to trade SPX.
That's awesome.
I was
Yeah.
like, yeah, I think I could do this. And then SPX said, no, you can't.
I
Took
thought this
me
was
for
starting to get to
almost
the good
all I
parts.
had.
Oh.
Yep, just took me under the rug. It was so bad.
Wow.
And then I started falling back into like my AMC days,
Mhm.
old habits. So I started joining groups that would solely trade SPX. I was again dependent on call outs. Although I knew what I was doing, although I knew how I would get in like with the strat, right? Because I was being trained by Alpha Pack. I knew what I was doing and I was good. I wanted more. I just wanted
Hmm.
more.
Hmm.
So I took my first big loss. One day I lost $4,000 in one day,
Wow.
trading
Jeez.
zero DTE SPX,
Hmm.
and it was done. I was like,
Yeah.
and what's funny was I took it based on the strat, but the person that I was trading with was using EMAs and stuff like that, and I saw green. And I'm like,
Hmm.
hey, don't you know this? Like, the strat is profitable. You just didn't take profit because people are
Ah.
not happy with their 5% trades,
Hmm.
even 2%. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
And I
Hmm.
say this all the time when I'm mentoring someone is that what does the average bank gives you a year? What is it,
Yeah.
5%?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah. 5%'s like big. That's a good bank. That's
Thank
a
you.
good bank. Yeah.
So what
Yes.
makes you any better than a bank and you can't take 5% off your money that it took you
Hmm.
seconds to make in options, right? Or even
Right.
in just stocks. Let's just say you
Hmm.
want to day trade a Tesla for the day.
Yeah.
What makes you any better than a average bank or a hedge
Hmm.
fund that takes millions of dollars and they're in a trade in and out and they just want their couple of percents. So
Yeah.
yourself, humble
Hmm.
yourself,
It,
So,
and I kind of went off on a tangent when you said that, but when you were talking about people not you're not taking the green, and I started talking about something else, so I apologize.
okay.
It was kind of same thing, but not the same thing. And I realize that now. So, but yeah, yeah, people don't want to, because people get on Twitter and they're like, this guy says he got 15,000%. This person, he just a bunch of numbers,
Yeah,
37,000%. It sounds like a ridiculous number, but some people are doing that, okay? And that is amazing.
yeah.
But the wins add up. That's the thing I try to get across to people. Create the winning position if you can, add to it and defend it with tight stops, and you will be profitable. Okay. Yeah, I got in here and I want to get out here. And of course, when you're talking about puts, you're doing it opposite direction. But here's my entry. This is what I want to get out. And I want to keep pushing my stops toward the price so I get stopped out with profit. If it's $50, $50, winning $50 consistently, over time it's gonna add up. It's gonna add up. Like,
Right.
people get bummed out because they made, like you just said, people get, "Oh, I only made $300." Are you joking? There's someone on the opposite end that just lost like you $3,000. Someone lost $300. Someone is trying to figure this out, and you made $300, and you're telling me that's not enough. You're not happy with that. You might, it's okay to want more, just like you were saying. It's okay to want more, or but to be consistent and say, okay, I am confident I know how to make $300 every time. When I see this setup, this is where my entry is, this is where my stop is. you know I'm gonna make $300. I'm pretty confident I could do that. If you just got to that, you're gonna be way ahead of other people, way ahead of other people.
Right. And
Yeah.
and I try to preach that, My husband has a group at Wealthbound. It's called Wealthbound Trading Community, and he preaches that all the time. He's like, compound your profits. Like, I don't care if it's $25. If you make
Mm-hmm.
$25 every day for 5 days, that's an extra $100. That extra hundred
Yeah.
bucks is gonna either pay your phone bill, your Wi-Fi bill, whatever. You don't have to
Yes.
pocket for that, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and I get it. But I blame the AMC times because you was able to throw a little bit and make it into a lot, right? So I blame that, but we're also dealing with adults here. So it's like, how far can we go until I have to like tell you like, hey, take your profit, like I'm
Yes.
now, you
Yes.
know?
Yeah.
So it's a battle with the community right now. It's tough out here. We're not like people don't want to be humble, man. Sometimes I have to get a little Dominican on these people. Like I'm like, don't make me get my belt, you know?
Don't make me get my belt. Yep, that's funny. That's funny right there.
Crazy.
That's funny. I like that. That's hilarious. Don't people don't want to take their profits and so yeah, that's good. I thought I had something to go along with that. But I mean, yeah, that just learning that. And like you said, $25 a day, that's what I want to say. The opposite. So just take the same idea and what if you were losing $25 every time you trade, you
Yeah.
lost 20. That adds those losses add up as well. You
Mhm.
know, how come you can only see the negative, but you can't see it working the opposite with the positive? Like, so that's where I come in with the shares. I'm like just first year trader, and it's not a popular opinion. It's not a popular method, but I'm like first year trader, just trade shares. After year one, you made a little money, you lost a little money, but you made it back. Even if you're break even, that's you did good. You did. Now is year two. Now you can start looking at options. Now you can start looking at SPX or futures or I still say paper trade it. I still say watch it. I say learn it before and but you know and then start with small positions. Do you have a problem? Does your community or anybody you work with have a problem with do you start with small positions? There you go. I'll just start with that. Do you
Yeah.
start with small positions? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we start with
Mm-hmm.
small positions. My husband
Mm-hmm.
sometimes takes one contract because he wants
Mm-hmm.
to make a point for those that are on there. He'll screenshot like this is just one contract. He's like, I'm up
Mm-hmm.
$300 on the day. I'm good. I don't have to trade no more. You
Yeah.
know, or even if that position is up 10%, I'm good. That just paid for lunch. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? You know,
Mm-hmm.
if you found $20 on the floor, you're
Yeah.
excited. Why can't you put
Yeah.
it in the market? I don't understand. You
Yeah.
know? So, position sizing, yeah, that's also a big topic of conversation nowadays. Um, but not to kind of deviate a little bit more with the profits and stuff like that and the green and stuff like that. My point with the strat was more, and the reason why I was so excited to come on here is because I really wanted to send that message. Like sometimes I meet with so much people, and sometimes I hear people say, again, the strat fakes you out, da, da, da. And I'm like, I bet you saw, even if it was 2%, I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
I bet you saw it, but you didn't want to take your profit.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
it pisses me off because I get so because I was them. Like I would see my profit, but I wanted more. I wanted my 30, my even my 20%, 30, 40,
Yeah.
50, 100%, but that
Mm-hmm.
takes time. And
Yeah.
then when I got clapped that time that I lost 4,000, I said, well, let me take the strat and let me try to learn something else. And let me try to mix the two because
Mm-hmm.
if the strat was made more for swing trading stocks and I have time coming against me with options trading, I would need something that's going to defend my money,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Okay.
Um, and that's when I learned more about ICT trading.
Mm-hmm.
ICT concepts,
Mm-hmm.
um, trading like liquidity areas, using futures to take your my entries with SPX, using ICT kill zones such as like the Asia and London sessions, those areas, if those areas become, once we touch those areas, if we're looking for a reversal and stuff like that. So definitely, that was my turning point when I started focusing on ICT and correlating futures with SPX. It's been awesome since then. So it's been since 2023, so almost like 2 years now.
That's fantastic. That's
Yeah.
fantastic. I'm glad I like you because I Because when you said ICT, I'm like, I ain't trading that voodoo crap, no
Turtle
fair
soup.
value, blah, blah,
Have you
blah.
heard
So,
that? The turtle soup? That
well,
took me.
I used to get out here and talk wild, but I had to, if I had to come to if it works, do your thing, do your
Yeah.
thing. But what's that CRT thing? Looks exactly like a two-tube reversal back to the other side. I don't care what you call it, unicorn or whatever. I don't care. That looks like a.
I'm so
That's what I'm gonna say about that.
yeah. Yeah. Let me be nice.
But okay, so I like that. I like what you're saying. Take your profits. Um, And so what I say as well is again, push your stops toward the price. And you can use stop market sell orders for your options. You can. And I'm like, okay, instead of Steve Burns, I did an interview with him. He's the one that put Rob on the map, so to speak, with trading on Twitter. Anyway, on like the internet, with his article, what do we know to be true about price action? He's the one that published that article written by Rob. And anyway, Steve loves to say all the time, he's like, before you take that screenshot of that profit that you got, take that, go
Have
ahead
to
and take
stop.
your profits. Go ahead and
Yeah.
take it. Because,
Yeah.
so I kind of adopted that and I say, before you take that screenshot, push your stops up, push your
Yeah.
stops all the way up. And then you take your screenshot and you get stopped out, you made that money. And you can say, look, I actually did it, you
Right.
know? And it's a different feeling, and I know you're talking about. So I'm talking about getting stopped out with profit is a different feeling than just getting stopped out. So you get stopped out, you beep beep beep. You're like, oh man, I lost. I pick up my phone because most people use their phones, but you hear that beep beep beep. You're like, I got stopped out. I lost money. But if you're pushing your stops up toward the price, or and you get stopped out with profit, you hear that tone, that notification on your phone or on your computer or whatever, it's a different feeling because you're like, I just made some money. I just
Yeah.
made some money. Pay
Yeah.
myself. If it sets back up and it's still going, I can get back in.
Yep.
I know how to get back in. So yeah, yeah. But then there's also, if you just take your profits, So I like it a lot. We're on the same page, even though you trade a little bit of that voodoo stuff. That's fine.
Come on, man. It's cool. You might like it. If I show you it,
Hey, you're here now. I
you,
got no choice.
you
You're here
might,
now.
yeah, you got no choice then. No, listen, I don't. ICT is a big rabbit hole. Like if you
It
start,
is. Mhm.
so I don't know, the guy has like what is it, 3 years worth of chapters of there's like a mentor on there on YouTube. I tried it. I was like, I can't do this. So I try to meet with just your average person that does trade ICT, and I'm like, okay, well, let me learn a little bit from her. Let me learn a little bit from him. I don't
hmm
like this. I like this, and I try to encourage everybody that when you're in your trading journey, you have to build your own tool bag,
hmm
right? Um,
Yes. hmm
if the strat is what you're going to use, that's going to be your hammer. You know what I'm saying? If
Yep.
you use another concept from something else, you have to try to build that tool bag so that you know what tools to take out when you have a specific setup.
Yep.
Know?
hmm
There's days that if I don't see the setup, I'm not taking out my tool bag. I'm not even cracking it open. You know what I'm saying?
hmm
If there
hmm
is a setup, I might only take out my hammer. I don't want to take out all the rest of my tools. And that comes
hmm
with the correlation of risk management, right?
I
I
like
preach
it.
that a lot. I preach that a lot. I'm like, listen, the 3-2-2 reversals, those are my favorites. This is where I'm gonna full size, right?
hmm
The 2-2 continuations, I might half size or small size, because those are not my personal favorite setups, especially with options, because I know anytime we can just reverse. So,
Yes. hmm
a lot of it just comes with um, when you want to mingle with other traders and you kind of also want to just expand your trading knowledge and stuff like that, especially with trading SPX and zero, just even zero DTE, could be QQQ, SPY, IWM. You just need a little bit more with the strat. Not that the strat was, again, the strat is going to make you profitable because you will see even 10%, whatever, that's fine. But if you're striving even for just 1,000% trades, um, kind of learning a little bit more how to tweak things a little bit more and having an extra tool behind your back is going to make you feel more confident. And like I tell people, and I talk to myself all the time, I'm like, you have to defend your money. You know what I'm saying? Um,
Yes.
It's
Hmm.
just you on the charts at the end of the day. Sure, you can take your screenshots, you're gonna get all this love on social media, but trading can get very lonely. And it's
Hmm.
just you, your knowledge, your chart, your mentals, at the end of the day. So yeah, that's why I kind of wanted to incorporate ICT because I'm like, okay, I know what a 2-2 reversal is. I know what a 3-2-2 is. I know what a 2-1-2 is. But I'm like, why do we keep rejecting? The strat tells me to hold up until this level, but we haven't gotten to this level. And I'm like, but why are we rejecting in between?
Hmm.
So when I was able to incorporate a little bit of ICT in it, I'm like, okay, well, there's a liquidity area, so now I'm able to not solely expect for price to come all the way up here just because the three bar is here, the two is
Yeah.
here, then it doesn't necessarily always have to come here, especially
Right.
when you're in options and you have
Hmm.
theta decay.
Yes.
Obviously with
Hmm.
shares, we can wait for that full reversal.
Hmm.
But with options, you just have to be a little bit more careful. And
Hmm.
with all the losses that I've taken, I'm like,
Hmm.
well, yeah, I'm gonna need some arsenal. I
So
need somebody to tell me.
I definitely want you to get into it. And you're right. You're right. The Greeks definitely affect um, what you're seeing on the charts. And 8x trades, he does really good at, he has his own methods with dealing with that, and it's which is great with trading
Yeah,
options and the strat. Uh, so I am acknowledging, yes, when you're trading the strat with options, you have to have something else because you just talk to your homeboy Theta. Theta will tell you why you can't hold that thing all the way to the end. And then, you got people out here trading, way super crazy, way out of the money. And they're like, well, yeah, well, I saw somebody, and we're going to go into it. But the last thing I saw was, in, one of the social media Twitter things. I said this the last interview, but it's just so ridiculous, guys. This lady's like, influencer gets asked, okay, you get $10,000, but you got no, you're starting out trading, you get $10,000. What are you going to do first? And he's like, well, I'm going to go find companies that are down 50%, and I'm going to buy leaps on those. I'm going to put 7,500 in leaps in those companies that are 50% down, and then I'm going to day trade the rest of the money. And I'm just listening to this stuff, and I know there's other people that goes that they're saying that makes sense, and like, no, it doesn't make sense, So it's just really hard. I'm glad you're here, and just us in general being here and helping just the next person go, okay,
yeah,
at least if you could just from this after the end of this interview, if you can look at another, person and go, okay, nah, I'm not, that's not real. You know what I mean? If you can just tell when someone's not telling the truth about how things work, that's going to put you above, again, above or ahead of other people, because that's just what that guy was saying. It's just a bad strategy, super bad strategy. Go
very.
Walgreens. Walgreens was delisted. That's not even a thing anymore. Walgreens. There's several stocks that get delisted that are 50% down, and they just keep dropping.
Right.
And Nike ain't doing hot. People, understand Nike and like Nike, but it ain't doing great. Anyway, I'm kind of going on a tangent. Let's get into, I'm just saying, people, I'm glad you're here. And let's get into it.
Yes, yes. Um, no, I mean, I definitely agree. I don't know, people's mentality these days it mind blows me because these are adults that we're talking to. Sometimes I'm like, who am I talking to?
Hmm.
You know, a lot of the times when I do one-on-ones too, when I try to help people, I have to hear that you want. I have to hear that you're serious.
Hmm.
I don't want it to be, oh, I want to trade SPX. I want to make 1,000% tomorrow. And I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. This is
Why?
not
Yes.
this is not what this mentorship is about.
Hmm.
Like, first of all, I need you to train your eyes to see 3-2-2s. That's number one.
Hmm.
I need you
Okay.
to train your eyes to see the 2-1-2s reversals before we can even talk about even contract selecting, you know? So if you think, you're just gonna go into SPX every single day and just turn a little bit into a lot after just trading it for a week or a month, whatever the case may be, you have another thing coming, you know? Um,
Hmm.
but no, I mean, we're gonna hit the charts or
Yeah, wherever you want to start. I just want to, because I know if you can get me talking, I'm gonna be here all day, and I'm gonna be here all night. And you're gonna be like, wait a minute, we've been here for 2 hours. I ain't got to show
oh,
one
all
chart
good.
yet.
All good.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of gems in there. I think we dropped a lot of gems in there, in the and a lot of that. And I think it was very important to bring up a lot of those points, and um, I think we're ready for what your method and what we're looking for, and I think we're definitely on the same page, and it's awesome again to be on here with another strategy that trades SPX, and
Yes.
I'm ready to learn some other stuff. All right, I'm gonna be
Yeah.
okay. I'm gonna be
Right.
fine. I'm not gonna throw up. I'm not gonna get nauseous. I'm gonna be fine when you start saying, fair value thingies. I'm gonna be
For
okay.
value gaps, come on. That's probably my favorite ICT method ever.
Let's do it. I'm ready to learn.
Come on, come on. Alrighty. So, when I'm utilizing the strat, I'll talk to you guys like if I'm talking to my daughter, right?
Yeah, yeah, let's do it.
Cool. So when I'm utilizing the strat, I solely focus on anything that says 1 and 3, right? I remove my twos because I already have too much things on my chart. Um, and today was beautiful. Look at that great
Yeah.
PMG, right?
Mm-hmm.
Amazing PMG. But
Yeah. Pivot machine gun. Yep.
yeah. So, I mean, no, I'll do my top-down analysis, starting from your 12-month, so on and so forth. I won't take too much time with that, but your 12-month, your 6-month, you just want to see where we are. Your 3-month, your monthly, your weekly, where we are. I typically do this on Sundays, right? As you guys noticed, I'm charting on ES. So a lot of the things, when I'm doing my top-down analysis on Sundays, I'm charting ES and I'm charting NQ. So as I mentioned in the beginning, I take my SPX trade off of ES and NQ and the movement based off of that. And if
Mm,
there's one thing that I can recommend to any new trader, besides starting with shares, is if I can relearn this, I would learn futures, because that makes you so much more of a better options trader
really?
because
Okay.
of the precision that you have to have.
Yeah.
That's why, because entries matter with futures. If you
Yeah.
enter, so here's why I say that. With options, right? If I put $100 into a strike, that's all I'm going to lose
Mm-hmm.
if I let it go to zero. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Obviously, that's not what we're doing. But what I'm saying is my max loss is $100. If I'm working with a prop firm and I'm trading futures, I could blow my account.
Mm.
I can't
Okay.
hold all the way. I've seen trades in SPX or even SPY QQQ that I'm down 60%. I didn't have the perfect entry, but then I would get a huge reversal, then I'm up 100%. You know what I'm saying?
Ah. Uh-huh.
So that correlation there, that's why I say that I wish I would have learned futures first instead of options, because that position of having, excuse me for my what's that called? My first language was Spanish, so I can't
Oh,
say
your accent,
my
your
accent, yeah. My
yeah. No,
accent.
it's not bad. No, you're good.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So, entering at a specific price with futures, if you have a little bit of pullback, that's fine. But, if the trade reverses solely on you, again, you can blow that position and then you're not a good futures trader. So, if you have a sniper entry with futures, that's going to allow you to create that good habit of entering of having less drawdown in options, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes
Yes.
sense.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. I
Yeah.
just want to make sure
I'm
we're talking.
listening. I'm just listening right now. I'm in learning mode right now.
Okay, okay, cool. Yeah, no, so that's why I say that. Because I blown a lot of future ports as well when I started trading futures. I'm like, wait, I can't hold this till 4 o'clock damn near because
Yeah.
one bad take, I'm blowing the position. Just like sometimes, you can hold your options trade and you'll see a pullback, but you know that, at 2 p.m. we have a new 4 hour candle. You're like, well, maybe this 2 p.m. this new 4 hour candle is gonna give me the reversal that I need. Um, so yeah, so okay, let's jump back onto the charts. So charting ES and now chart NQ. So I would do the kind of the same thing, top down analysis. One of my favorite indicators right now is the 50 percenter. It's by Trent 10x.
Okay.
Um, He's awesome. Although I still do my top-down analysis, this almost cuts my top-down analysis by almost half. So I have all of these settings on here to enable futures and all that stuff. But the ones that I'm really focusing on a lot is the 50 percenter, previous day's highs and low, which is gonna tell me when we go two up or two down on the day without
Hmm.
me having to physically see it, without me having to go to the daily time frame. If I'm trading on the 1 hour, if I'm trading on the 30, I can see it. I don't have to mark it out,
Ah, okay.
which is awesome. My opening and close levels of the day, the month, the week, the quarter, it kind of gives me those levels, and then a custom 50% level, which I do the 4 hour. Like that, I don't have to shift on over to that time frame.
Okay.
Okay. And this is everything that you're seeing right here. So if we see, when the market dropped today and we went outside week, we closed right above previous month 50%. So it's nice to kind of get into a trade and look at these levels as magnet zones. And that's exactly what I utilize them as. So previous week's high, two up on the week. Notice how to the wick, to the T,
Yeah.
we went ahead and rejected that on the hourly, right? And if I
Hmm.
drop down to smaller time frames, you'll be able to see how um if this thing could load, you'll be able to see how price will respect these levels, to the wick and stuff like that. I have here previous week's high. I have the midnight open, previous day's close, previous week's close. The reason why these are significant, the closing of previous days and previous weeks, the way I interpret it is that it's allowing me to kind of get an idea of who's in control, right? So if
Hmm.
last week bulls were in control, if we lose previous week's area, I have more bearish sentiment. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Now bulls are taking control of this week. Again, if I drop into the smaller time frames, you might see that we'll wick at these areas, or we'll have some kind of consolidation at this area before um let me see, where is the previous month close or previous week low? Where is it? Right here. We'll have some kind of consolidation area when it comes to the closing of any higher time frame break. So yeah, so this indicator, I love it. I really do enjoy it because it cuts down my top-down analysis by almost half. Now, when I am teaching, sometimes I tell my students, I'm like, you know what, you don't have to have the previous week close, the previous month close and stuff like that. That's just more to give you that sentiment to make you feel a little bit more confident entering a trade. But the important ones would be the 50 percenters. You want to know when we're breaching, either 50% to the downside of the weekly, the monthly, the quarterly, just so that if we could potentially go outside day, outside week, or so on and so forth.
Hmm.
If you miss a trade, you can take a trade from those levels from the previous days, the previous week, previous months. If you didn't get in all the way at the top, let's just say, and we're approaching previous weeks and we're consolidating, and you might get like a 2-1-2 reversal back to the downside. You see that we're using that as resistance. Go for it. That's gonna give you another an entry. Um, and another highlight to this indicator would be utilizing the futures aspect, which is the midnight open. So this level is calculating, it's just giving me the price of where futures was traded from 12 a.m. to 1 a.m. Eastern time. And again, that served as support and resistance. I think that's more like of an ICT concept kind of thing. It's just a level where if price loses it, you can expect for us to come down and take another session's low.
Hmm.
Do you have
That
any
makes
questions
sense.
about
Yep.
this?
And I like even though it is a lot of stuff on the chart, your chart still looks pretty clean. Like I like whether maybe it's the opacity, I don't know what it is, but it doesn't look like a lot on the chart. Like it looks pretty clean, honestly. It looks good.
I think you're saying that now because I'm not even through with this, but let's see,
No, jeez. All
let's
right, all
see if you
right.
still feel that way. Let's
Oh,
see
okay,
if you
all
still
right.
feel that way after I throw
You doing all the things. I swear. You didn't said ICT. You
some
didn't, I
ICT.
used to, do you know, maybe you forgot I used to call myself the indicator hater. Like I used to be wild out there on Twitter,
I
Do
didn't
you know?
know that.
Oh
Really?
yeah. I used to, I was a hardcore Strat or nothing, and
That's not nice.
I've gotten better and and just trying to help people. I tell people if it works for you, the
Yeah.
Strat's going to take what you've already been doing and put it on steroids. And Rob used to say that too. So,
Yeah, yeah, no, for sure. No, I used to think that way too. I'm
hmm
not gonna lie. I used to be like, no, well, this is too much. I could when I met with other ICT traders, I'm like, I wasted my money. Like I'm like, I'm not doing this. Like this is too much. But I
hmm
understood for me, the you just need that extra confidence. At least for me, I need that reassurance because it's my money, you know?
yeah,
And
yeah.
after taking so many losses, I'm like, shoot, I'm gonna need something extra. And if I need triple confirmation, that's just
No, that's
what it
perfect. Yeah.
is, you
And
know?
that's what I tell people with the indicators. Like if you're going to use like for example, we look at money flow index. If you're using an indicator that follows that shows, you want your indicator to reconfirm your price. So if price is going up, you want your indicator to be doing the same thing. I don't know how that's going to show on the screen, but you want it to, if the price is going down, you want your indicator to be showing the same thing. That just shows confirmation that, yep, I see it's full time frame continuity to the downside, but I also see, with the money flow index, people said, take my money out of this now. And it's just like you said, another confirmation that this is for real. This move is real. And that's awesome. That's really cool.
Yeah,
That's
no,
how
and
you do it.
that's solely what I use ICT for
Hmm
because I already know the strat can make me money. It's just up to
hmm
me if I'm taking my profit or not. You know, and
hmm
like I said, and I keep reiterating is that with zero DTE trading SPX, you have time going against you, and you have to defend your money. And this is my
hmm
defense, right? Learning a
I
little
love
bit
it.
more ICT is gonna be more my soldiers that are like, okay, you got to take profit here because we're about to sweep a London area or a Asia zone.
Hmm
You know what I'm saying? Not
Yeah.
just because the strat said get out, or my
hmm
percentage is saying, "Okay, you should get out."
Yeah.
So
You're using two systems. One, you know, both of them reconfirming each other, basically. That's what you're doing?
yes,
Oh, that's
yes,
perfect.
exactly. It's just reconfirming. And I learned
Yeah.
this with an amazing trader. She mentioned me and it resonated with me, and I share that with everybody. The strat gives me entry. And although the strat can also give me exit, but ICT is also going to give me the exit.
hmm hmm
So I
No, that's
always say
perfect.
that
Yeah.
I said the strat gives me entry, ICT gives me exit.
hmm
Um,
Oh, that's perfect. Wow.
and if you can utilize ICT and the strat to confirm to enter the trade, that's even better. You can just
Yeah.
almost shoot and
hmm
walk away kind of thing. You
Yeah.
know, and I'll give an example of what I'm saying when it comes to, let's go ahead and do a little bit of a bar replay here. And I'll keep it as simple as possible. So with utilizing the ICT kill zone indicator, all it's doing is it's taking Asia's high and low and it's just marking them out for me. It's mapping them out for me, right? And
hmm
I'll keep it as simple as possible. So all ICT is saying, and I'm sure a lot of traders have heard this, oh, double top, double bottom, and stuff like that, right? So once you reach a double top, you can potentially reverse from here. Once you reach a double bottom, you can potentially bounce from here, right? And
hmm
we're not just taking it off of the wick. I tell my students, you have to wait for the strat to enter. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
hmm
And then if you have that setup based off the strat, like if you have, a good 2-1-2, then this is where you have to ask yourself, how much am I putting into that trade, right? Because everything ties into your risk management and how much money you're going to throw into that trade based off of the setup. Sure, the chart can tell you where price can potentially go to, but the strat combos are going to allow you to determine how much money you're gonna and you're gonna play with, if that makes sense.
Yep. Yep.
Um,
Perfect.
so diving into the ICT kill zone indicator, all it's like I said, it's giving you the session's highs and lows. And from what I've learned is um once a session gets taken out, once we tap one of these sessions, um, it's gonna go try to take the other sessions high, and then she
Mm.
can reject or vice versa. So she can come down here and then take out Asia's low. Once she comes to take out London, so she can come down and take Asia's low and then bounce. And this is
Mm.
where sometimes ICT and the strat is like, well, wait, if we trigger two down on the 4 hour, I'm supposed to be getting puts. And I'm like, I hear you, but you want it to go, if you get puts, you want it to close below Asia's low, so that you can, you know that this is not a liquidity area.
Okay.
So this is where again where ICT and the strat comes a little bit we bump heads a little bit because sometimes where the strat is telling you to get in, there's a liquidity zone there.
So, okay, so what I'm seeing on the chart and what I do know about ICT and the strat. Okay, so, and I think maybe this will sum it up. And please tell me if I'm wrong. I'm okay with that. From what I see, when things are in what I'm seeing in this chart, when things are consolidating in a range and going sideways, ICT is on it. Like ICT is
Yeah.
there. Like when 2022, 2021, 2022, when things were just dragging sideways, they were on it. But as soon as we start trending, the strat says this is where we're getting in, this is where it's going. This is where it's going, this is where we're getting in, and this is where it's going. So please tell me if I'm wrong, but I believe Strat is more for trend, some identifying those trends and working those trends, and ICT is more like, you know, trading in those ranges. Is that correct or is that wrong? I'm
No,
okay.
no,
Mhm,
no. I think you're correct.
mhm,
I definitely think you're correct because once the when we do have trend days and once we go, we go. And then
mhm,
ICT sometimes is always trying to find the top. You know what I'm saying? They're always trying to find the
mhm,
top, or they're always trying to like, is this a liquidity zone? And I'm like, no, the strat is a
mhm.
trend day. It's just we just keep going two up, two up, two up, or we just keep going two down, two down. So I definitely agree. When it comes to inside days or inside weeks, ICT takes the ball on that one.
And that's where, and then also on those days, like Spy opens up Inside Day, I'm telling everybody do nothing. Like go outside, go play with the dog, go do something, and then maybe that's where. And let's just take it back to your analogy before. Maybe that's where, it's hammer time. I got my hammer. We're trending hammer. Hammer and force. Let's do the thing. But ICT is the maybe it's a screwdriver or drill. Maybe it's drilling down into I we might be on to something. You might be on to something because that's interesting. I like it. I like it a lot. And
Yeah.
I do agree. We get something that moves fast like futures. It is hard to trade with the strat when things are moving fast,
Yeah.
super crazy fast. Especially if you're not used to that.
Yeah.
And I can see what you're looking at. What I see with ICT here. I can see where, we test the highs, we test the lows, we test the highs, we test the lows. And in these kill zones, and pretty similar to what we're doing in the broadening formation. Um, that's what I'm seeing right now. That's what I'm seeing,
Yeah.
what you're showing.
Absolutely. And
Hmm.
I love to do a bar replay, but like when I'm doing my market analysis in the morning, right?
Hmm.
I try to get in there. Maybe I don't try to do it too early. Maybe by like 9:15 Eastern time. I'm like, all right, well, let me see what the market did during pre-market. Let me see. Or maybe like 8:45-ish around there. I'm like, all right, well, okay, today's Thursday. Well, what I'm anticipating is if we hold price, right? So this is something that I would tell the chat. Like if we hold price above midnight open, only because as you see, midnight open can be served as like support or resistance, right? This is
Hmm.
an area where price either likes to reject from or it can bounce from. So I say
Hmm.
something like if we hold price above midnight open, I would like to see us come take out London's high,
Hmm.
potentially Asia's high, if the strat permits. I would
Hmm.
want to see a reversal to come take out London's low and Asia's low,
Okay.
and then
Okay.
potentially either take us outside 4 hour because now I have my 4 hour high, my 4 hour low here. But now I have these little areas that I just need to see continuation from there, not just wicks and us
Hmm.
reversing with the strat. You know what I'm saying? Because we
Hmm.
can do something like this. We can go sweep out these high, pull back, and then go back up. Um,
Hmm.
just like the breakout and retest. And this is where again, where I say like the strat is amazing, but the strat is telling you get in on the two up on the day, previous day
Hmm.
high, right?
Yeah. Hmm.
But little do we know, maybe we might have some liquidity area based off of Asia's session.
Mm. Hmm.
So I'll go ahead and I'll do a little bit of a bar replay just so that you can see that play out. And sometimes this is where I would take my entries, right? My entries on SPX. Um, let's go ahead and see that play out. And boom. Right. So once we went and swept I'm sorry, excuse me, London's high and Asia's high, we found some form of liquidity, whether it's an internal liquidity area. And as soon as we triggered two up on the day, we went ahead, lost midnight open.
Hmm.
We could
Hmm.
have grabbed some puts here, targeting London low, and then essentially this, targeting Asia's low.
Mm.
And all the way from up here, as long as the strat permits, this is where I'm getting in.
Okay,
Makes
okay.
sense.
Yeah. Yes. Hmm.
And then as far as holding, these are the confirmations that I need in order to hold for longer, right? These are the confirmations that I need. As long as price is holding below midnight open, and even if I get a wick rejection, that's fine. The next area that I'm looking for is these areas of liquidity, internal liquidity areas, or even external
Hmm.
liquidity areas. Now, I also mentioned typically what ICT traders believe, or at least again, this is the assumption that I'm getting, is that this is supposed to be a healthy market movement. We're supposed to take out the Asia and London sessions, highs and lows, before the market picks a direction, right? Whether it wants to continue to the downside or whether it wants to reverse. Now,
Mm.
there's days that we have market manipulation with ICT. And stop me if I'm confusing you or if I'm going too fast. But there's days where like a day like Wednesday, I didn't trade options. I said, well, if the strat permits after we sweep London high, I would want to see a rejection. Once we sweep London high, I want for us to come take out Asia and London's low, right? But unfortunately, we did not get that on Wednesday.
Okay.
When I am teaching my students, I do tell them, I say, this is more of a manipulation kind of scenario, but just mark that zone so that price does like to revisit that area. And this is gonna be a day that you're gonna want to hold on to those contracts. And I'll go ahead and I'll mark that out for you now. And this is where I actually took my profit today, where I made 2,000% on my SPX play. Um, and you can see price ran right through that area, right? This
Wow.
this is where I took that
These are
out.
15-minute charts. Okay.
Yeah,
Hmm.
this is the 15-minute chart.
Wow. Yeah.
So, I mean, price obviously died and went even lower, but
Held.
it
Held.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But these are just some of the things that I like to teach my students, and it can be vice versa. It can be something like this where price comes and takes out London low first, and then what we're looking for, even with futures, after she takes out these lows, if the strat permits, if you get a reversal, you want us to come and target London highs
Mm.
and then take out Asia high.
Okay, so to make it simple and just to see if I'm tracking, if it hits London's lows, I want to see if it tests the other side. Can I say that? And then we
Yes,
take a reversal back to the other side if I'm
that's it.
bullish. And then once it takes out London's high, we're taking profit.
That's it.
Okay,
Take
okay.
your profits or you should be moving your stops because if
Moving
she
stops.
a
Okay.
high and then she wants to continue, then you can start moving your
I like it. I like how you say she. That's funny. I've been calling a little bit of a sidebar, but AMD's been acting crazy, and I call AMD like that crazy ex-girlfriend and or boyfriend, of course, whoever I'm talking to.
yeah.
But she's acting right for a few months, but then like she'll come out and ask you who you talking to on the phone and key your car or throw a brick in your window, like and then you're like, I hate trade AMD. I hate trade AMD. It's terrible. And then they're like, oh, but we got them semiconductors, we got them chips, and then it starts so it's at all-time highs right now because she got her act together.
That's
So
right. She's back
I
like she never
I only
left.
say that because I like how you say you call Price she. That's pretty funny. I like that. I like that because she could act crazy if she one of these. You
That's why I call her she. XPX is a she as well.
yeah, she could act
But
crazy.
wants
You
to.
thought you was cool just sitting on the couch. No,
Oh, not at all, buddy.
buddy.
So,
Okay, so testing that's kind of like that's similar to what we're doing at the broadening formation. I like that. That makes sense to me. Test the lows, test the highs, test the lows, test the highs. That makes sense.
yeah, I mean,
Okay.
um, with the broadening formations, I also have them. One of my buddies, Trent, he's the same one. He actually has a broadening formation indicator,
Mm-hmm.
which is awesome. I no longer have to draw my broadening formations. I'll show you guys that. It gets crazy on the charts. Hopefully it throws it out. There you go. So my blue ones are my weekly broadening formation, my date, my pink ones are my yearly, and so on and so forth. So it's
Nice.
awesome. So again, triple confirmation for me if we're
Yeah.
getting into a broadening formation. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Mm-hmm.
Um, look how beautiful, rejecting our weekly broadening formations. We went
Mm-hmm.
from weekly to weekly, and so on
Wow.
and so forth. Now, if before when I started trading the strat, I would have wanted it to come to this broadening formation. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? I would have
Yeah.
held your life probably.
Yeah.
But utilizing these extra tools, right? Talking about our tool bag, um, I'm able to just see how price is going to react at certain levels.
Hmm. No, I like it. I like it a lot. And I'll say it again. It's not there. It is a lot on the chart, but it doesn't seem confusing. Like I
No.
know you. I'm sure you take some of that stuff off, but uh, just what I'm seeing right now, it's not. It doesn't look like it's too much. Whenever you're seeing, you're watching price, and you're like, man, that's a lot. Or you
Yeah.
can't see what's going on at all. That's when you want to scale it down. But it's not. It looks pretty good. And that broadening formation indicator was pretty legit. I'm looking at it. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's awesome. So
Yeah.
these dark ones are my daily. Um, and it's just amazing to create a what is that called? What's that word? Narrative, right?
Hmm.
So every day before I
Context. Yep. Hmm.
context. That's what this is about, That's you have to be able to know where you're going before you get there. I
Yeah.
always I always tell people I'm like, and this is why it's cool to chart futures and then take your trades off of SPX. So,
Okay.
right, to create that context with the overnight price action. SPX chart
Mm.
is gappy. SPY chart is very gappy. Sure, we can still take a trade off of there. Sure, I'm sure we can take 100% trade, whatever the case may be off of it, and we can be profitable if you just want to chart it on there. But because of the gaps, that can be a little bit more confusing and stuff like that. But we have so
Hmm.
much more data on ES and on NQ that's gonna help you enter the trades for a better price, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So are you watching ES and SPX at the same time? Like you having one on one chart and one on the other, or no?
No, so all I'm doing is I'll pull up SPX right here just so that I can see what it's
You were
trading.
looking at Nike. I was talking crap about Nike. You was looking at Nike. My bad.
Oh, it's okay. I actually traded it this week. I got puts and we banked. I made like 30%. It was great. So,
Good, good, because it's been going in the toilet. I swear. Is it
what's
the
going
shoes?
on? I don't know what's going on, but hey, whatever. Luckily, we make money if the stock goes up or down.
That's true. That's true.
Okay. So I ain't mad at it. But no, I'll have it just pulled up here just to see what it's trading at. And I get this question a lot. So people say, okay, so how do you get your contract selecting, right?
Hmm.
For one, I always tell people try not to get any more than 10 to 15 strikes out the money.
Okay.
It's a big kind of conflict where, oh, that's too much out the money. And I'm like, I hear you, but with futures, let's just say, again, if I entered right here, let me go ahead and zoom in a little bit. All right, let's just say if I went ahead and entered at this break, let's just say at the break of midnight open. Okay, cool. And I'm anticipating for price to come here to take out. the lows that we never took out on Tuesday, right? Again, I
Hmm.
a bit more of an ICT concept, but to come and take out these lows. So from my entry, that's about, let's go ahead and calculate that because I can't do math right away. I'm pooped out after today and seeing all those numbers.
I was gonna say, isn't there like there's a well, I don't want to, I'll let you do your calculations. I was gonna say I thought there was a tool that was profit.
There is?
Yeah, yeah, in Trading View. I thought there was. Yeah, I'm pretty sure there is. I don't know.
Mm.
Do your thing. I don't want to mess you up, and then we're spending 40 minutes trying to find this. I might
No,
be thinking of,
but-
there is one on TrendSpider. I use TrendSpider. There's one on there. So I mean, um, I use solely TrendSpider right now. So.
nice. I haven't used it yet. I heard good things about it.
It's yeah, if you trade the strat, it's good. It's good stuff. I don't, it's the best thing about TrendSpider is they worked with Rob directly to put the strat into TrendSpider. So all
Awesome.
the scanners are 100% accurate. All the labels, they got automatic drawn broadening formations, all that stuff. Not to go off on a tangent on that, but yeah, it's pretty awesome. I
That's
like it
nice.
a lot. I like it a lot.
Yeah, I'll look into it.
Um,
But yeah, no.
so.
Uh-huh.
I was gonna say, so you're watching ES and then you're taking, so does SPX and ES do the charts line up 100%? Like do they line up?
No, not in the sense of
Hmm.
like where we're trading. So like we could be off probably like a few dollars off, or even sometimes we're off $10 off. And this is where I say don't focus on where ES is trading, focus on your targets. So if I'm anticipating my final target to be a 24-point drop, right? So from here to here, I calculated that's about 24 points. I'm
Hmm.
anticipating about the same point to drop on SPX. I'm anticipating at least a 20-point drop, right? So if
Okay.
I'm getting anywhere 10 to $15 out of the money, by the time it hits my target, I'm in the money. And
Okay.
it increases that IV. Does that make sense?
A little bit. Keep going. I'm
Okay.
listening. I'm listening. I'm learning. There's a but you can't see it, but there's a buffer in here.
Mhm.
There's a you're smart. You got, your brain's got, all the connections, like high speed internet. I got a little guy in my brain with like an index card and a notepad. He's just like, uh-huh.
You're hilarious.
He's taking notes.
You're hilarious. No, let's go ahead and bring it back. It's okay. I appreciate that you tell me you don't. I'd
No,
rather you
no,
tell
but
me you
I'm
don't
I'm
you
I'm here
you
with you. It makes sense, but I'm saying I got, do I get it? And am I going to trade it on Tuesday, like, or Monday? That's what I'm saying. I'm not going to tell you no stories. Um,
let's go ahead and throw on the SPX
So
chart.
do the candles line up? There's another question. On ES, when you look at ES, when you look at SPX, if they're
Mhm.
not the same, maybe they're not the same price, of course, but do the candles line up? Does that make,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
okay. That's
yeah,
where
they
that
definitely do. Yeah, look, this is the
okay.
15-minute on ES, and this is the 15-minute on SPX.
Okay, now it's starting to make a lot more sense. Okay, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
so um if I'm entering, right? If I'm entering right here,
Hmm.
let's see what this is the break of 9:15. Let's just see 10:45, right? 10:45, let's say it was somewhere right here. So if I'm entering, right, and the price is currently trading at 67.40, and I'm anticipating a 24-point drop. So that's what let's do simple math here. 67.40 minus 24. I'm anticipating for price to go to 67.16. Let's take a look at where 67.16 is. Let's just move it up a little bit. I'm not charting this, so I'm just doing this for you, just so that you
Yeah,
can.
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah, I typically do not chart this, but I just want you to see the correlation in it, right? So
Okay.
if I'm anticipating this 24-point drop solely based off of ES, I already know that if I just do the calculations, okay, if SPX is at 64, excuse me, 67.40, and I'm anticipating a 24-point drop, by the time I get to my target on ES, SPX should be at 67.17. So that's why I picked
Ah,
the 67.20s so that I can be $3 in the money. Does that make sense?
okay.
on the
Yes.
first.
Now that makes sense. Yes,
That
that
makes
makes
more
sense.
sense now. So
Yes.
I just solely only calculate my points off of my targets off of ES. And I'm just looking at, that's why I only have it here. I don't pay attention to the chart. I'm just paying attention to where it's trading at. So this number right here that it's trading at the time that I took the trade, it was
Hmm.
trading at 67, what was it? 67.40. I'm like, okay, 67.40, cool. I want to get at least 10 to $15 out the money.
Hmm.
And then yeah, so that's how I do my contract selecting based off of my targets on ES.
Ah, okay, okay. Makes sense. Yes. Makes sense.
Awesome. Okay, cool. Yeah, no.
Yes.
So and then you should have targets before that. You just want to make sure price is aligning with the movement. So like if we get a bounce at the 4 hour low, once we go two down on the 4 hour, right? And so on and so forth. So that's just my niche as far as correlating futures with SPX. I don't do any trading
Interesting.
on there. I just only pick my strikes off of SPX, but it's based off of my ES targets.
Interesting. I like it. I like it a lot. And so you're saying if it gets down to, oh, not all the way down to where it was, but let's say it gets to where it's that, it looks like 4L. What's that level? 4L.
Or
That level.
that's like yeah.
Let's say if it gets down to that level and you see that green and it starts to move back up and you're like, are you going to take it? You're like, okay, well,
Yeah.
I didn't get that 24, but I got this.
Yeah, yeah, I would
Okay.
take profit.
Hmm.
Absolutely. I would
Hmm.
take profit. And this is where, okay, if we break down to the 4L, right? The strat says get in because
Hmm.
that's two down on the 4 hour.
Hmm. Yeah.
If, right? The strat says
Hmm.
get in. But sometimes if I would see some kind of reversal coming in, even if it's on a smaller time frame, even if it's on the 15, this could be an area of liquidity, right? Because we have created a double bottom.
Ah.
Price
Mhm.
once Price got here, what did she do? She reversed. And I'll go ahead and
Yeah.
do a little bit
Yep.
more here. Once Price got here, she reversed. Once Price got here, she consolidated for a little bit. But this is an area, a popular area, I would just like to say, right?
Yeah.
Um, so this is where again where I say sometimes ICT and the strat we bump heads a little bit, but this is where I always say strat gives me entry, ICT will give me exit because if I see some kind of reversal or 2-2 reversal coming off of this low, I'm getting out. Whereas sometimes, somebody that only trades the strat would just get in here, not realizing you have to look to the left,
Hmm.
not
Hmm.
realizing price is respecting this zone.
Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. And I would have to chart more to see where I'd have to look at, the monthly, weekly, daily 60 to just to see where um, it would make sense with the strat, but I mean, that's such a big scenario three. Actually, it's a two down on the 60s right now on
Yeah,
the ES. And then also ES moves fast. SPX moves fast.
fast.
So what you're doing makes complete sense. I understand what you're doing. That makes sense why you're doing it.
Yes. And
Hmm.
you can also do this with SPY. Now, the only thing with SPY is the correlation of the target and the contract selecting is going to be off.
Hmm.
Obviously because it's so much smaller,
Hmm.
but if you are anticipating a 24-point drop, I think we can correlate that as more like a 2-point drop. I haven't traded SPY in so long, so I wouldn't even I can't even tell you, but
Yeah.
either way, if you're anticipating a big drop or if you're anticipating, certain levels to come to the downside, go ahead and grab some puts. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? Based
Hmm.
off of the structure on ES, right? Because
Makes
ES is
sense.
giving you so much more data. It's giving you so much more um liquidity zones that we can tap uh opposed to trading the gappy spy chart.
Yeah.
I can't
Yes.
trade.
And it's a lot more information. Yes. Of what's happening. Yes. I love it.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, and then it's also important to I also recommend to kind of get into NQ as well, just to look at the divergence. Um,
Hmm.
that's it. That's all. Sometimes we have ES pushing and NQ is just lagging. Um, and the same concept. Sometimes ES will come and sweep out these highs and NQ would not. So you
Hmm.
just want to see who is more in control and stuff like that if we have some kind of divergence in the market. But essentially, again, most of my trades, I'm just taking it solely on ES movement, marking out my targets, marking out my big targets. This was one of my big targets. I didn't expect this huge drop today, but I don't think anybody did. But
Hmm.
essentially, you have to be able to map out your targets and you have to be able to map out your things before you get into a trade. You just can't get in there and
Yeah. Yes. And yep, I tell the same thing. Same thing with just trading the strat and trading shares. We know where, that's why we want to look for those actionable signals. I want to look for me, for example, I'm like, instead of just taking a random two down, two up, hopefully it goes two up, I want to see those hammers, those shooters, or those inside bars because those actionable signals give me a reason to plan the trade. If I see a hammer, I know I know or a 3-2-2. Let's go with that because you like those. I know when I see a scenario three and there's a hammer at the bottom of that three, I know if that thing goes in force, the target's the top of that three. I know that for a fact. I don't have to, there's no like flipping through pages trying to find it. Can it go? No, I know that's where it's going to go. I know
yeah.
that's the target, and I know what the magnitude is and what we could anticipate making, and I agree with you. You got doing all that beforehand is very important. You don't want to just jump in on some stuff. Well, okay, 2-1-2 up. I'm going to go ahead and take it, and hopefully it's going to work. You'll have some days that it does work, but
Yeah.
then you'll have those days where it goes two up and then comes back down and turns into a scenario three. Now you got a rev strat against you in the face, and Um, so here's something I think I see people do. Let's say they take an entry with the strat and then do you see them? I see this on my side, but do you see people going, okay, well, I took this 2-1-2 up, but it didn't take out London's lows yet with ICT, and they're just using it as an excuse to hold a losing position? Is that I know that I said that a little odd because I'm trying to use what you were talking about, but do you see people like using one method but then justifying holding a loser with a different method? Do you
I
see that?
do. I do see that. I do see
Hmm.
that. And I used to do that in the beginning myself.
Hmm.
Because I'm like, well, the strat said to get in, but we still haven't taken out these highs. So what are we waiting? What are we waiting for?
Hmm.
But I this is where you have to create your rules. And because if you got in based off of that 2-1-2, right? So that same two that you got in,
Hmm.
um, let me see if I could pull up an example. And it's so important to go over like managing your trade. It's cool to kind of say,
Yes.
hey, get in off of this 2-1-2 where the magnitude is all the way over here, right? But it's easy to say that. Obviously, this is the 4 hour chart. I can't, I can't
Yeah.
anticipate what happen within that same day, but this would be more of a swing trade kind of situation because we're
Hmm.
charting the 4 hour. But essentially, I tell my students, I'm like, and I learned this as I went through time. If I got in off of this two candle right here. So essentially my entries right here, this two,
Yep.
1, 2 to the upside, but
Yeah.
this was my entry candle, my stop loss. If this candle breaks below here, this same candle, the reason why I got in would be the reason why I would get out, regardless
Yes.
of swept the higher
Yes.
or whatever the case may be.
Yes.
That has to
Fantastic.
be your stop loss, especially with SPX. We're not holding to zero just because. You know what I'm saying? Now,
Yes.
what I have seen is, with SPX and zero DTE is sometimes we'll chop, but we wouldn't break this low. And then
Hmm.
theta is
And
what's eating
and
my
that's a
time.
different conversation. Yes,
Different.
yes. It hasn't hit my stop, and that's a good feeling too. You're like, right? It was ugly, it was scary, but I didn't hit my stop. It kept going.
Yes.
Everything's good. That's a
Yes.
different conversation than, well, I moved my stop because I mean it's gonna go. It's gotta go. I got time on this thing. It's gotta go. And then you get hit in the face with one of these candles like for today, going, well, man, it's gotta go, right? Like, no, it don't. So I'm
No.
looking at I'm looking at your one of your tweets. So I hope I'm reading. I'm pretty sure I'm reading this right. You got in something SPX W average cost one contract. Average cost was 165, and you closed that thing at 6,000. No, no, no. No, no, you closed that thing for $2,000 profit. Is that true?
Yes, sir.
That's crazy. Let me read that correct. Hold on, let me read that better. Average cost was 165. That was entry. Exit was 29.85. That's amazing. One
Yeah,
contract, crazy. And you bought it. That was a zero DTE. Bought it that day, in that day. Golly. You know how that, remember that Dare program when they're like, Dare program comes in and they tell you how drugs are bad and they're like, but they describe it all, and then by the end of the program, you're like, man, that sounds kind of interesting. Whereas some here talk about zero DTE, I'm like, that's bad, whatever, that's scary. But from 165 to 29.85, that's pretty, and a zero DTE as well. That's amazing.
yeah,
That
that was awesome.
that is amazing, and that's what I like because 165, that's $165. That's not a crazy trade. That's not, and it says one for everybody else out there. You can see it on my Twitter. Well, you can't really see it on my phone because of the green screen, but it's one contract she took. The one, not 10, not
Enjoy it.
not 200. There you go. Yeah, not 200 contracts. Yeah, 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 yeah. She took one, and
Yeah,
that's why I like UK because you're a realistic. You have realistic expectations. You have a method, and you're not just throwing a bunch of money out there. Hoping you get something crazy. You're like, I'm gonna get something small. If it works, So my next question is, do you add to your positions?
no.
Okay,
Like,
just a question.
not when it comes to zero DTE. If it comes to a swing
Oh yeah,
trade,
yeah, that's right. At zero
yeah,
DTE. Okay, that's so
yeah.
zero DETE. I've heard that if you're not taking your profits by like lunchtime, you're it's working against you hard. Like you're gonna is that true or no? Is that just the
I think it just depends. I don't think that's never been a factor. I mean,
okay?
price down during lunchtime, but again,
Hmm.
if it didn't stop you out, you could be hovering over like, okay, you're up 100%, then you're up 80%, or you're up, you're ping-ponging through price. I don't think it's any
Hmm.
unless you're super out the money. If you're super out the money, yeah, take your profit and run. But if you
Ah,
by the time price gets to lunchtime and you're close in the money or at the money, your contracts are flowing just fine.
wow. So in
I,
this
I've
one,
never really.
that's amazing. So in this trade that I'm talking about in particular, you got in at once. Was that when you got in? Was it right at the bell, or when did you get in? I guess if do you mind
No,
talking about that trade?
no, not at all. No, I did not get in right at the bell. I got in.
Good. I like that because that's the next thing I was going to ask.
No, I need some range to be established.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
My
love it.
goodness. I'll tell you. Hold on.
And these are okay, 5 minute charts. Okay.
Yeah, I know it's a little. I'm breaking some of the rules. Some people. I remember when I first started jumping down to the five. People used to call it the ghetto. And like that's the ghetto.
The ghetto.
Well, they say because it gives you false breakouts, right? Because
Yeah.
you can't really. But this is why this indicator helps because it's showing me what's going on the highs on the 4 hour for the most
Hmm.
part. But when I got in, it was around like 10 a.m. somewhere around there.
Okay. I
CME
like I will drop down to the smaller time frames, 15 minute, 10, 5. If it's something that's just blasting and I need to find an entry, I will go down to those smaller time frames and find an entry.
right here. There we go.
Um,
Right here. It was the
okay.
212 coming out of this New York. I got in a little bit late, so I
Hmm.
needed price to break below. I didn't
Hmm.
take it straight off of here because I saw how price was respecting this 4 hour 50%.
Yeah.
You
Hmm.
see
Hmm.
that? So
Yeah.
I needed price to flush through here
Hmm.
first before I
Mm.
got in.
Hmm.
So I did pay a little bit more. By the time that I saw them, I think the contracts were at $2. I'm sorry, because I got in two different positions. But one of my contracts were at $2, and then the other one, I just paid a little bit more because I just needed that extra confirmation. I needed price to break this area.
Hmm.
Um, and then yeah, and then like I said, I had that target to come down here, so that was where that was the strike
Okay,
selection.
so yeah, okay, so you've been talking about this trade this whole time. Okay, now it's all starting to come together. Connect the
Yeah.
dots. La la
Connect the
la
dots. Yes,
la.
come on. So, and it's funny because I left money on the table, but it went to my
Mhm.
target. It went to my
Good.
target, you know, and
Hmm.
that's something that I want to preach on because yes, what I was I able to flip 175 to $2,900? Yes, but it went to my target. Had I held for dear, I couldn't guess that the market was going to give us a 2% drop today, right?
Right.
Those contracts went, I believe they went to 17,000
Wow.
and I
Wow.
sold for 2,900.
Yeah.
I was
Hmm.
in Marshall's kicking everything, but it went to my target and I kept bringing my stops up. You know, I kept
Good.
bringing my stops up because I had these areas also that was confirming. Like as I'm looking at price, obviously it looks nice right now because the candle's closing. But as price is flushing, it's doing this, it's doing this, it's doing
Yeah.
this, right? And I'm
Oh,
looking
yeah.
at
Hmm.
my P&L and I'm like, okay, hold on. Like, well, it's going from 1,000 to 500. It's going from 1,500 to 1,000. Like it's just doing this
Mm.
the whole time.
Yeah.
So like, all right, well, once it hits my final target, excuse me, I'm out and it is what it is. You know, so that contract did go again to $17,000. If we open it up right now, you can see it. And I actually had three different positions, but it went to my target and it is what it is, you
That's
know.
awesome. I love
Again
it.
on Monday.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's awesome. I tell some options traders because I did it too. You can drive yourself nuts looking at, oh man, this thing went from 165 to,
Yeah,
17, 17,000. I could have made, yeah,
I
you
could.
will drive yourself nuts doing that. But no, that's amazing. And I apologize that you were talking about that trade, so it all comes back. So I was paying attention. I don't want you to get off here and be like, you weren't listening to nothing I said. I was listening. I
Good. Don't
just
make
thought you
me
were
get my
showing.
pelt.
Yeah, you said example, so I'm like, okay, yeah, example, yeah, yeah. So that's the whole method. That's the whole thing. That's what you do, huh?
That's it. That's it.
Wow.
You
Give
know?
give give us one like a little. Is there a short summary like just a review like of what you do or how
Yeah. So, I mean, all right, short summary would be anywhere
we
from
got our
8.
levels. Let's just say we all got levels. We marked out all the levels.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
So yeah, once we mark out our levels, we just want to create that narrative, right? Once you create that narrative, you want to again identify where we are opening up within the market by, by the time that you're at your desk. So by what is it, 9:25, you just want to make sure you want to take a look at where we are. Our levels are already set here for you. I'm paying attention to, okay, well, market swept these areas. I can anticipate I'm creating these scenarios in my mind, right? I'm typing them out, whatever, writing them out. And I want to pay attention to how price reacts at these areas. And as
Mm,
long as the strat permits, I enter. I always say that as long as the strat permits, I enter. If I get a rejection or if I get a bounce out of these zones, whether it's the highs or the lows. And then what I'm looking for is then I'll map out my targets to the upside and I'll map out my targets to the downside.
nice. Love
Simple.
it. And then you use an ICT as an exit.
As an exit, yes.
Mm-hmm. And then I think you said 15, no more than 10 to $15 outside or out of the money, you said?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. Hmm.
Yep.
That's this is good. This is good. I like it. I'm gonna have to try it. I'm gonna have to try it
Oh,
because
yeah.
it I was looking at SPX. I remember looking at SPX. I don't know. Let's just say a couple years ago, and you're like, man, I don't understand how people are making money with these contracts. They're so expensive, but what you're doing makes sense, and how you select your contract makes sense. I like
Yeah.
it a lot. I think this was really this definitely helped me, and it your ICT method's not so crazy. K's ICT is not crazy. There it is. I said it for everybody. All right. Her ICT.
Oh
That's
my
it. Everybody else's, I don't know about them.
No, I mean I've used for value gaps. For value gaps are awesome.
Hmm.
Only because not to go too crazy into for value gaps. I look at it as a market inefficiency, as a market imbalance.
Hmm.
Um, it talks about the wicks. That's all it is.
Yep.
ICT traders believe that there's an imbalance in the market, and at some point we want to revisit that area. So it's
Hmm.
just a confirmation of if you have a bullish fair value gap, there's orders left behind, and if we're tapping into a bullish fair value gap, you want to be in puts, right? So that we can come grab those buy orders back and then go back in its intended direction.
Mm,
So it's just for confirmation of an area where price wants to come back to collect left orders, so on
I
and so
like it. That makes sense. I
so that's
again,
all fair value gaps are used for, not to make it
uh,
turtle soupy, no gumbo, no none of that. It's just it is what it is. Take the tutu into the gap and then get out.
yeah, I like it. Yes, yes. I learned a lot. Thank you. Thank you so
You
much.
know, just I just want to add one more thing with the
Yeah.
contract selecting, right? As long as your target is at least 10 to 15 points, right? That's the only thing that I wanted to give you that disclaimer.
Okay.
If you're mapping on a target and it's 5 points on ES, do not take $10 out the money because by the time
Ah.
you know what
y-
I mean, by the time you hit your target, your I
Oh,
you
so
will be profitable.
you're picking a contract where the price is going to go through that target and then be in.
Correct.
Ah, okay, or opposite. Okay, opposite. I'm doing that because we went to the downside. So
Right.
you're picking something that's going to go through that. Ah, that
Correct.
makes sense. That makes
Correct. Because
sense.
by the time it hits my target, I should be
Mhm.
in the money.
That makes sense. Yes.
And
Okay.
that's where the percentages skyrocket. I'm getting the IV push on my
Yeah.
contract.
Yeah. Okay.
So
That's
yeah. So notice when I got into SPX, I had gotten into the 20s. By the time it hit my target on ES, SPX had hit 67.16. So I was already $4 in the money
that.
based
Okay.
off
Okay.
of
You
my
did say that.
calculated target.
Yes.
You
Mm-hmm.
know? So that's
Mm-hmm.
just the only thing that I want to say. If you have a $10 target on ES, then you shouldn't go out more than $5 out of the money on SPX.
Mm.
That makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it does. Yes.
So yeah, so just always keep that in mind. Base that off of your targets, and making sure you're getting continuity into that area because sometimes you cannot, sometimes it doesn't go all the way to your target, and you might get a reversal. So, but for the most part, yeah, don't go any more than $10 to $15 out of the money as long as your targeted areas on ES aligns with price.
Fantastic. I appreciate this. This is awesome. That's awesome. Take this screen share down and tell us where we can find you. Where can we find you? And what do you do? Where can we find you? We'll start with that.
All right. I mean, you guys can find me on Twitter, Love K. You guys can find me there. I'm also on Wealthbound Trading Community. We're on Whoop. Am I saying that right? Whoop, Wop, whatever. I don't know how people say it. If you guys ever want to join, that's where we are. I give my daily analysis there. And it's typically the same thing, the same verbiage that I mentioned here. And then, anticipating for the members to just become profitable based off of that. I love to teach people how to fish. I do not, I do not go for call outs. I don't do the call outs on that, but you guys can find me on there giving my daily analysis, or like I said on Twitter, Love K.
That's awesome. That's fantastic. Well, I'm telling you right now, I did learn a lot. I did, and I'll give it a shot. I'll definitely watch it. And I'll do some paper trade, and I'll watch it. I'll let you know what's going on.
Yeah.
And because it is interesting, it is interesting, and I like what you do. It's simple, and you said at the beginning or somewhere in there, you said right before the instructions started, you're like, "I'm gonna talk to you like my daughter." I'm like, and that's awesome. I like it when you know. I say all the time, you should be able to, how you're trading, you should be able to talk it to someone who doesn't even know what trading is at all. So it shouldn't sound like instructions from the back of the shampoo bottle. It should make sense.
Absolutely. I mean, trading alone is difficult as it is. So,
Yeah, 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 it can be. And you don't use a bunch of indirect language. You don't use a bunch of jargon. I mean, there's some, but So you're a great teacher. That was fantastic. I loved it. I'll be watching it again for myself.
yes.
And this was fun. This was a good. We'll have to do it again. This was
Yeah.
fun. Thank you so much. Thank you. Um, but don't go away. Don't go anywhere. and I'm going to talk to these guys for a little bit about some strat stuff. And thank you for being here. Thank you. Thank
Of
you.
course. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I remember bumping into you guys. I was like, I want to be their friends one day.
Yeah,
Look
you're
at us
here.
now. We're here.
Well, thank
Take
you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
care.